Hi, everybody, in HDEC 100 Essential Skills for Human Service Workers. We are starting week 9. We are finished observations, we are finished digital presentation work, and we are now focusing on academic writing for the rest of the course. So, week 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then we'll be finishing up week 14 and 15 as summary weeks. Academic writing, how fun is this? First, I want to pause and thank everybody for the work you've done on your self-directed learning for digital learning and presentations. I've enjoyed reading the draft presentations up to this point that people are choosing to share with me and thinking about yes, the content is important, but how you're presenting that content and what you've learned about using PowerPoint or Canva or whatever presentation method you chose. And just huge praise for those of you who have explored AI, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, and referenced it in your presentation piece. These are great tools to use, but to use wisely. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This week we start, let me just quickly share my screen. This week we're going to start academic writing. And what are we going to be doing in academic writing this week? Our focus for academic writing this week is going to be looking at academic writing and looking at critical thinking and critical reading. And we have one small discussion, fun challenge to think about while we're doing that piece on just getting our mind set around what is academic writing, what is critical thinking, and how do we use those skills within our day-to-day life, but particularly for academic writing. The assignment that the academic writing culminates in is, and I've twisted the assignment a couple of times. I'll just go up to assignments and take us through it to take a quick look at it. You have the choice of doing a research essay, an article review, a research article review, or a small literature review. You can choose one of those 3 topics: a full essay, a small article review, or a small literature review. Any one of those 3 qualifies as part of academic writing. There are 3 separate submissions that we're going to look at in little pieces. One of the pieces is looking at an annotated reference list. And so that is one of your first submissions that we're going to look at it to submit for grades, is creating an annotated bibliography, preferably to your topic. I also want to see your thesis and your outline before you put it all together. And then you've got the final piece into your final copy, your final paper in your article review, research essay, or small literature piece, a small literature review. So let's take a look at what we're going to look at this week. We're going to be looking at an introduction to academic writing and say, this is why we're doing academic writing. These are the questions we want to think about in our minds and some of the understandings we want to follow through with. The other piece we want to think about whenever we're starting to do this is the idea of critical thinking. What is critical thinking? And we also want to think about critical writing. So critical writing has some great ideas to look at in how we read for academic work, and how we take our notes. Do we highlight everything? Do we underline everything? Do we do we print everything off and highlight everything? Do we have an online program that we use to make notes on the side? Do we take separate notes in pen and paper? How do we do that critical thinking part? And if we're using AI, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, any of the AI programs that are out there, if we are using those, how do we know they're telling us the truth? How do we know that information is valid and relevant to what our topic is? How do we check the references that AI gives to us? So that's a lot of critical reading to start thinking about. not just accepting what we're given, but then we have the responsibility of validating what we've been given. So think hard and spend some time with the idea of critical thinking. How do I think about things, and how do I read for research? Um, Later on, we're going to be looking at a few other pieces, but I'll walk through them really quickly. As I said, our first assignment up will be the annotated bibliography piece. Then we'll be working on outlines. There's a section on how to plan your paper and build your outline, drafting your thesis statement. If you're writing an essay, if you're writing the essay, an article review, or a small literature review, take a look at writing for a 5 or more paragraph format. This is a standardized format for essay writing and for academic writing. We also want to look at the differences. We'll have a quick discussion around revising versus editing. So thinking, what is the difference between when I'm asked to revise work or when I'm editing my work? So there's two different things that happen here. Finally, you create your reference list, and that piece, and you create your reference list to make sure that you always have a reference list in any academic writing you have. Cite and reference, cite and reference, cite and reference, in-cite citations on reference pages. They just become the litany of what we do in academic writing. If you're looking at doing an article review, here are the specifics around an article review. If you're looking at doing a literature review, a small literature review, here's some focus to work on that. I would hold on to these two links if you're for future work and future courses, because it's really important to think about. Remember that grammar is important as well. I think that's it. So whenever you're looking down your checklist for Module 4, we want to be able to submit that annotated bibliography. We want the outline of whether you're doing the essay, the article review, or the literature review. Submit your editing piece and your final essay review piece. I did add in the discussion page, Module 4, here it is. We have 4 formats. I really want to encourage you to use right-of-way. Right-of-way is a consortium through Simon Fraser University that pulls together all the institutions, many of the institutions around British Columbia are a part of. It's a consortium of writing tutors that supports undergraduate students at participating institutions. NLC is one of those, with formative feedback on your writing assignments, not necessarily your final. You can say, this is my first draft. This is the assignment I've submitted. So you need to have the assignment, and this is my first draft. And you can submit it to the tutor program, and they will give you some structure, not content, but structure editing for you. While you can run it through AI, I would strongly, strongly urge you to use right-of-way for your editing process. Right-of-way is, we use it in many courses. Faculty will use it as a must-have within it. I haven't put it as a must-have, but I'm strongly recommending that you use right-of-way for at least one of your drafts, whether you're doing the essay, small literature review, or an article review. Please, please use right-of-way. Get used to using right-of-way. It is a fantastic service. The final day you can submit for this term will be, I think they close on August 8th. So if you leave it too late near the end, you won't have the opportunity to use them. But I really encourage you to get the essay, get it structured, within your first draft, and get that first draft into right-of-way to allow them to give you some feedback, so that you're hearing feedback not from me, but you're hearing feedback from other people. So I really encourage that. Thank you so much for all the work that you've done to date in the course. I am so looking forward to academic writing, and I'm not being facetious. It's a challenge. And this course isn't about the content of the essay. It's about putting the words together for an essay or small literature review or article review. Welcome to week 9.